Welcome back to the preview show. I'm Casey Campbell, and for the first time in a month, it's Jonathan Fiel is back from the Racing Experts. I do want to thank Nathan Solomon for helping me out, filling in, and of course he'll be back in a few weeks. Don't worry, you're not getting rid of him. He'll make his presence known. You'll find out where he appears. Hello, Jonathan. How are you? Of course, you were on last night talking about trucks.
Doing very well. And yeah, we had a good talk about trucks. A lot of interesting factors going on with that. Playoffs start this week, and we're at a great place for racing, Indianapolis.
Of course, a lot of home racing, the IMS road course. Indy Car will be there. Hey, maybe we'll pick the Indy Car winner. Why not? Xfinity and Cup will also be at the road course. While for the first time since 2011, the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series is back at IRP. And for the first time since 2020, the ARCA Menard Series is back at IRP. I don't know if you've heard, there's been a lot of topics to discuss, across motorsports. So we're going to get into them all. We're going to do the fast-paced gas and go version because there's just so many topics to hit on. That's what we're going to do. We're going to first start Kyle Busch. We've talked about him every single week. We don't know where he's going to end up, but it's seemingly increasingly every day. It's likely he's not going to be back with Joe Gibbs Racing. It's even likely he could not be even back with Toyota. There's reports out that he could be in the 41 for Stewart Haas Racing. So where are we at in terms of Kyle? Right now, where do you think Kyle Busch is going to end up?
It's definitely interesting. I personally don't think JGR is going to have Kyle Busch back next year, unfortunately. However, I do want to allude to what Door Bumper Clear, a well-known NASCAR podcast, you all know, was alluding to about how there are only certain owners that can afford Kyle Busch. He mentioned Rick Hendrick, I believe it was Matt Colleague and Gene Haas. I want to touch on Colleague because they have that second car, the 16 car split between different drivers. Maybe they take a little chance and just put Kyle in the car. Could be something, but I don't think Kyle Busch could be back at JGR next year.
It's increasingly becoming more clear that he is not. So interesting there. We haven't talked about this yet, but 5 cars got penalties this week. The 2 petty GMS cars, level 1 penalties. And you can explain what they all are because you're better at it. Denny Hamlin, Kyle Busch, of course, disqualified after the win at Pocono, and Michael McDowell got hit with an L2 penalty for modifying a next-gen part. So your thoughts on the penalties?
Yeah, I think, what's going on right now is just the teams are understanding how far they can push the boundaries with this Gen 7 car because, Gen 6, there wasn't a lot of room to work with, but there was more room than what we have now where everything is so close. So it's not surprising to me that we're seeing so many penalties. What's interesting is how NASCAR is really cracking down on it. I think that's good heading into the playoffs. That way we get a fair race. It's just a product of this new car. We're going to see more, I think.
I think we are. So it'll be interesting to watch in the next few weeks. The other leading story is that 2311 Racing, of course, Ty Gibbs made his Cup Series debut last week at Pocono for the injured Kurt Busch. And Ty is making another start again in the 45 cars. Kurt Busch continues from concussion-like symptoms after the crash in qualifying at Pocono last weekend. What are your thoughts on Ty Gibbs getting his Cup start, and what happens next, you think?
Well, I think it's a good experience for Ty, and he definitely performed well at Pocono. They had him run behind the pack for a little bit at Pocono, and then he moved up after stage 2 and got a really good 16th place finish after the couple of DQs there. I was about to say 18th, but that was before. I think this weekend, with him being able to practice, qualify, really run a full weekend, we're going to see more improvement out of Ty. I don't think he's going to set the world on fire, but I would peg him for a good top 15, top 20 finish for sure.
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely something interesting there. Okay, so this topic always comes up every time we come to Indianapolis. The road course or the oval?
Ooh. Oh, Oh, I did not expect that coming,
Of
but
course you did.
I did not expect that coming. I'll be
Yeah,
honest. You tricked me there, Casey. But
I tried to.
the road course versus the oval, I'm going to say the road course because for years we saw NASCAR go to the oval, and I mean we saw some good moments, but the type of racing we've seen with the road course, I think, has outshined anything we ever saw in the oval. Now, for the sake of history, I definitely think the oval blows the road course out of the water, but I think the road course is necessary for Indianapolis. A lot of the interest in the Brickyard 400 had really died off by 2020. Obviously the pandemic was going on, but this was something needed, just like the dirt track at Bristol. This was needed to kind of reinvigorate the track a little bit. So I think they both have their merits.
Yeah, we'll have to see. I heard a few things that could possibly happen there. May lead into what the big announcement is tomorrow, and it's not anything to do with the oval. I'm just going to say that right now. I think we all know what the announcement is tomorrow. So interesting enough, we talked about a lot about the Cup Series. Let's talk about the Xfinity Series. They're going to be at the road course. Lots of stuff going on there. Ty Gibbs has 4 wins. Justin Allgaier has 3 wins. Noah Gragson has 3 wins. AJ Allmendinger has 2 wins. Josh Berry has 2 wins. I think a lot of people thought that Ty Gibbs would have 6 or 7 wins already.
Mm-hmm.
And there's been times in the season that Toyota has struggled, but is Ty Gibbs still the championship favorite right now in Xfinity?
I would say so. We've seen Allgaier hit his stride and be really strong, but just for Ty to come out swinging like he did, that was really impressive. And I think he's for sure the championship favorite. I would say Ty, and then also Justin Allgaier. Gragson has shown some pokes of speed, but looking at AJ Allmendinger, I mean, he's been consistent, but he hasn't been race winning fast, So I think Ty Gibbs, he still leads the pack. Allgaier, if he can keep putting it together, I think he would definitely challenge Gibbs.
When we do our playoff brackets, how many people are going to pick Ty to win the championship?
I'm looking at one.
I don't know.
One guy who will.
I know one person. I think a lot of people will.
Mm-hmm.
Get more into that later. But here's the other thing. One of and of course other winners this year, Brandon Jones has won a race so far this year as well. Someone who hasn't won yet is Sam Mayer. Does he get to victory lane this year, you think?
I think so. And it might come at a very critical time. We're looking at Martinsville course playoffs. I think that might be where Sam Mayer gets his victory because he's shown some strength there. And boy, what an upset that would be if he could win at Martinsville and then go to the championship 4 in his rookie season. I say that very loosely because, of course, he did a lot of the schedule last year. But I think Sam will win a race at some point in the Xfinity season. I almost said Ty, but that would be totally unkosher of me because those two have a huge rivalry.
Sam Mayer and Ty Gibbs just go together, just like peanut butter and jelly. That's yeah. Well, for me, I don't know.
Based on what we saw at Martinsville, we'll go with that.
Yes. Okay, so there is a lot of Cup drivers in the field this weekend for the Xfinity race at the Indy Road Course. So, for example, Austin Dillon is in the 68 for Brandon-Built Motorsports this weekend. Alex Bowman's entered in a Hendrick 17 car. Ty Dillon is in the 6 for JD Motorsports. You got Bubba Wallace, who's in the 18. Chase Briscoe's in the 07. Ross Chastain's in the 92 for DGM. Lots of guys are in the series, but this has been a topic that's been talked about since the age of time. Another YouTuber that I will not name has came out and said that maybe we don't need Cup drivers in the Xfinity Series. So do you think we don't need Cup drivers? Do you think the Cup drivers should be in there, or do you think should be Xfinity only? Should there be a ton of restrictions?
I think right now we have something that's pretty good where we have the number of races limited. We have the points limited. Even the owner points have limitations when Cup drivers are factored in. So I don't think there's anything wrong yet. Once we start getting to a point where Cup drivers are winning an abundance of races, which is what prompted these rules in the first place, then that might be something. But right now, I think it's okay. And I think it's good too for some of these young guns to race against these Cup guys. Ty Gibbs at Road America, for example.
Yeah, for sure. So let's a lot of interesting things. We can't leave, we're talking, I know this is a NASCAR show. Let's talk about Indy Car for a second. Alex, I don't know if you've been following the Alex Palou stuff, but it's been spicy.
I saw it on the AP Wire at work, so it's a big story, that's for sure.
For people that don't know, Jonathan works at a TV station. So your thoughts on all that? What do you think will happen?
It's throw a dart at a dartboard, and that will tell you. I think, but no, seriously, I think Alex Palou, he is a talented enough driver that he's going to find a place somewhere, and I think it shows that in just that Errol McLaren wants him, Chip Ganassi wants him. Two different major teams want him. I think he'll find a ride. Anything outside of the racetrack is going to have to be settled, but I think Alex Palou will find a ride though, for sure.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I know this is not an IndyCar show. This is also not an F1 show. We're going to talk about F1 right now. Sebastian Vettel has announced his retirement from Formula One. Your thoughts?
Oh man. I remember back in 2010 through 2013, just how he dominated the series. Like, people have seen Lewis Hamilton do it, and I'm going to miss him a lot. I know he hasn't run the best in recent years, but just in sort of the adolescence and formative years of watching racing, Vettel was a big part of it. And so I didn't like him when he was beating Mark Webber, because Mark Webber was, of course, my favorite driver. And of course, it was Vettel's teammate, and Webber was number 2. But I'm going to miss Vettel. He's kind of that link back to those really nostalgic times. So I'll miss him.
Speaking of F1, Danny Kvyat will be making his F1 debut this weekend. So fun stuff there. He'll be in the 26 for Team Haysburg. Also, the 27, Loris Heinzmans will be in that car as well.
Loris Heinzmans, yeah.
Yeah, that'll be fun. So let's talk about let's pivot. We kind of talked about this last night, but Camping World announced last night that they will not return as title sponsor for the Truck Series. Of course, they've been the title sponsor since 2009. The past 14 years, they end a 14-year run ending this season at Phoenix. So obviously the final Camping World Truck Series champion will be crowned later this year. Apparently this has been known for a long time with people in the industry. And there is, according to Adam Stern, or the almighty Adam Stern, it appears Craftsman is the brand that is likely to take over. Of course, Craftsman has gone through so many changes. Of course, now owned by Stanley Tools, and Black & Decker, of course, used to be owned by Sears back in that time. Of course, Sears has since filed for bankruptcy. But the potential, your thoughts on Camping World coming out, and possibly Craftsman coming back in?
Sears still remarkably exists in some places, but
that's true.
Craftsman coming back in, that's awesome to see. I think it really shows the commitment that Stanley Black & Decker has to the sport, that they recognize how recognizable the Craftsman brand is in NASCAR. We've seen, JGR sports some really cool colors that fans have flocked to, and now we're seeing that interest translate into an entitlement sponsorship. I think it's cool. Honestly, I laughed out loud when I heard about that, just because more things change, the more they stay the same. So great to see a sponsor upping their involvement in the sport.
Absolutely. So another thing, I know we spent a whole show talking about this, but the trucks are back at IRP for the first time since 2011. Your thoughts?
Oh man. You talk about a great atmosphere. Friday night is going to be crazy with all the fans there cheering and excited for short track racing back at IRP. NASCAR there. All the fans are excited, because I remember back in 2011, people were very disappointed. Industry, fans, why are we going to the big track for Xfinity? Now that we're bringing a little piece of that weekend back, to IRP, I think it's awesome. It really recognizes the fans there.
Yeah, for sure. And of course, also the ARCA Menard Series will be the first race that night. Well, that's going to do it for. We got through all those topics on Gas and Go, but now it is time to talk about the picks. Of course, a little bit something different we're doing as well. We're also doing our playoff brackets. If you want to, you can fill out yours. Just go on to NASCAR.com and you can even fill out your truck bracket. So it'll be fun. Of course, so we're doing it for points, big points. You could take the lead. Big points. They're only 14 behind our good friend Mitchell Brewer. The two Minnesotans have been able to top there as of keeping ahead of the two New Yorkers, of course, Marty Zakala and Nathan Solomon. So it'll be fun there.
Where the Minnesotans and the New Yorkers are living up to their geography. We're far up north. We're far up top in the country. We're far up top in the standings. It's what we do.
That's right. Okay, let's start with the ARCA Menard Series, of course, at IRP. Who you got, bud?
Ooh, man. So we saw a great race last week.
Yeah,
and number 17, of course, Taylor Gray took the checker flag. I think he's going to do it again. I'm going to pick Taylor Gray.
Okay, so I am going to take the defending winner, actually the two-time defending winner. The last time we raced at IRP, this driver won both times. That is Chandler Smith. He goes to victory lane again.
That's a good one.
Of course, he'll be in the 15 for Venturini Motorsports. Of course, also be in the truck series. Speaking of trucks, we're going to pick them now. So, of course, this is also if you haven't heard, this is also the first race of the playoffs for the truck series, and we're not going to see them that often. One race, they'll be back in a few weeks. They're going to be at Richmond, and then in the next month, they will be at Kansas. So 3 races in 3 separate months, all-night races. Catch them all on FS1. Who you got, Jonathan?
I'm going to go John Hunter Nemechek. He hasn't shown as much speed as he did last year, but I think KBM looked really good in the races leading up to the playoffs. And I mean, John Hunter Nemechek is super talented, and this is the type of track to bring out driver talent. So I think John Hunter Nemechek's going to get it done. Yeah,
I think, I'm going to go with Christian Eckes. I know that it's, ThorSport has all 4 of their trucks in. Of course, Majeski, Crafton, Eckes, and Rhodes. Of course, also Johnny Sauter will be in the race as well. They're bringing their 5th truck. So it's a good. This is a night. This is a championship that ThorSport needs to shine. They've got all 4 of them in there. I feel like one of them's got to win it. There's 7 Toyotas in the field, so it's almost like remember the 2005 Chase when all 5 Roush cars made it. It kind of feels like that a little bit. That all the trucks are in there. I feel like one of them is going to win it. So I'll take the 98 this week. All right, let's go from the IRP, from the short track to the behemoth at Indy. Let's start with Indy Car. We don't usually pick Indy Car, but since they're with NASCAR this weekend, might as well go ahead and pick them. Who you got, Jonathan?
Ooh. So my pick is going to be Scott McLaughlin. I think he's going to get it done this week. He V8 supercar ace, they're with NASCAR this weekend. Of course, IndyCar is. And I mean, NASCAR cars are running V8 supercar like car. And I think he's been good this season. I think it's going to rub off. Scott McLaughlin's going to get it done.
I want total chaos. So I am going to take Alex Palou this weekend. 10. So there you go. There we go. That's what we're going to do.
And you'll have to figure out which owner to thank in victory lane.
Oh, that'll be fun. That'll be the most awkward victory lane ever if that happens. But I want to see it. That'll be fun. Xfinity, of course, will be on the Indy road course as well. As I mentioned, tons of Cup drivers are in there. Who you got?
I have got, excuse me there. I've got Ross Chastain. Back at COTA, he contended really well with AJ Allmendinger throughout the day. That number 92 team looked really strong. I think Ross is going to be hungry. He's going to want to bring a win home to DGM. DGM gets, I believe, their first win. And Yeah, first win, Indianapolis Motor Speedway. What could be better?
Yeah, that would be a big win for Mario Goslin in that team. So that would be fun there. Okay, I got Alex. I'm going to take Alex Bowman this weekend. Of course, Hendrick is running in the 17 this week for in the Xfinity Series. So I got Bowman the showman. So we'll have to see. That car finish second at Road America with Larson. Feel like it's going to have another good run this weekend with Alex Bowman. All right, the Cup race at the Indy Road Course. Let's go with you. Who you got?
I'm going to go with Kyle Larson. We were talking about it last night about how it's a shock that Kyle Larson only has one win on the season, of course, at Auto Club Speedway. But I think with playoffs coming and how strong he was at Sonoma, I think he gets it done this week at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway Road Course.
Yeah. I got Ross Chastain. He won at Coda. I think he's going to get it done this weekend at IMS, and he's going to smash another watermelon and get another win for Team Trackhouse. So should be fun there. All right.
And we were thinking alike because that was the other driver I was thinking of, and Larson was the other driver you were thinking of. So we were thinking alike.
Yeah, I guess so. Funny how all that works, right?
Does.
So that's going to do it for this weekend's show. Tune in next week when we'll talk all about what happened this week at Indy Road Course, and we'll preview my home race, Michigan International Speedway. I will be there. It's gonna be fun. They actually just announced today the Grand Marshals for that race. Michigan State fans are going to really like who was over there. Our good friend Davey Siegel, of course, a Michigan State grad, Michigan State head football coach Mel Tucker, and Michigan State men's basketball coach Tom Izzo will be the Grand Marshals for the race. So you're going to be hearing a lot of go greens and go whites here at MIS. And of course, thanks to Ziegler Auto Group, they're going to be partnering. Michigan State's going to have a paint scheme with Josh Balicki. I don't know if you saw it, but it's going to look pretty cool. A lot of Spartan fans are going to like that one. So you don't live here, so you wouldn't know. You are a Midwesterner, but it's I
feel the vibe.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. And and of course, follow along, of course, for all the coverage from IMS, from Indy Car to ARCA to trucks to Xfinity to Cup and everything in between. So for Jonathan, I'm Casey. We'll see you next week talking about Michigan.